So the Bitcoin price, welcome everybody to the Orange Pill Podcast. My name is Graham Elwood, guest hosting here for Max and Stacy, who are traveling. And I'm here with Ron Placone from the 1000 Podcast. And thank you to everybody who's watching on the chat. You can support what we're doing by hitting the super chat button and ask a question. Also like, share, subscribe. We are at Orange Pill Pod. Wherever you're watching this, we're multi-streaming, multicasting on my YouTube channel and on Orange Pill's YouTube channel and on the Orange Pill Twitter. So follow, if you're following one of those, follow all the other ones. I'm at Graham Elwood. So Ron, you've been, you and I got into like crypto around the same time when we both started having shows on Rockfin, which paid us in their cryptocurrency. And through that, we both started learning about Bitcoin. I've obviously gone full orange, but you follow the price, and we're now, today it popped over 52,000. A year ago, Bitcoin was at 19,000. It was still coming off of the scam of the FTX Sam Bankman-Fried thing in November of 22. So it was at 19,000, and look what it's gone from 19 to 52,000 in a year. That's what Bitcoin can do. And one of the reasons for that is the Bitcoin ETF. And this is a pretty powerful thing. And this is why when people like friends of mine or friends of ours who don't understand Bitcoin at all, and they're like, oh, Graham, you're just some nutbag YouTuber that's talking about your crazy digital currency. I'm like, don't listen to me. Listen to this. This is from Bitcoin Magazine. BlackRock and Fidelity now own a combined 203,000 worth of Bitcoin, which is they own 203,609 full Bitcoins, according to this, which is worth over $10.6 billion for their spot Bitcoin ETF. So what the ETF thing is, and we've talked about it numerous times. I talked about it with Max Kaiser on my other show and on this show. The ETF, in my opinion, is an inferior product. It's basically a certificate that you own Bitcoin rather than, it'd be like, do you want to own actual gold coins or do you want to own certificates that say you own gold coins? That's what an ETF is. I think it's better to just buy Bitcoin on an exchange, pull it off the exchange, put it on a cold wallet. That's just my opinion. And a lot of people agree with me. But what the ETF is doing is it's making it easy for consumers who, there's all these portfolio managers out there that are managing several $1 trillion in people's assets, just going, hey, we can just take 5% or 2.5% to 3% of your portfolio and put it into these Bitcoin ETFs. And people go, yeah, okay, so that's where all this money is flooding in, and that's why the price is going up, which a lot of people predict more of these ETF money is going to come in, which is going to create FOMO, fear of missing out, and it's going to drive the price up to 100,000 or more. So Ron, as someone who's like obviously not as avid as I am, but you pay attention, like you are paying attention to this. How do you see this? Because I like, I talk to all these people, obviously, that are like super into this and know all the details, but I like hearing people that are sort of like, you own Bitcoin, you know what it is.
You know a little bit, but you're not,
yes.
you can't necessarily speak the language, but you pick up some of it.
Yes, you know more than someone that doesn't know anything about it.
It's very kind. Thank you. Can I put that testimonial on my website?
I say
I'm not going to mention Bitcoin. I'm just going to say in general, you know more than someone who knows nothing. Graham Elwood about Ron Placone. Thanks, buddy.
That's my endorsement of you. Use that as a quote, Ron. Put that on your website.
I appreciate it, pal. Thank you.
No, because I really, as I get more and more into this space and being in El Salvador and going to these conferences, I'm really seeing like, in my friend group, I'm the guy that knows the most about Bitcoin. When I'm here, I'm the guy that knows the least about Bitcoin. So, there's just like when I do the show and talk with Max, I learned so much. He's so knowledgeable about finance and the history of finance. So, but I love, because somebody who doesn't know anything about it, you could actually explain it to them and make them understand it in simplistic ways. How do you see all of this as somebody that's sort of paying attention a little bit of this from the sidelines?
Yeah, I mean, I think the way you explained it was very digestible for like a regular person. Like, okay, so they're putting this money into it. People like having someone in the know managing things for them.
Right.
So that happens in the traditional finance space. So it would be, if as this space continues to grow, it's bound to happen in the crypto space as well. So then, the FOMO happens and more stuff gets into this, which drives the price up, which for people who have Bitcoin, myself being one of them, that's a good thing. We like to hear that. That sounds awesome. As someone who has a remedial understanding of it, but a bit of an understanding of it, one of the things I see in the bigger scheme of things is a lot of the vilifications of crypto, especially when it comes from the government, comes from frustrations about not being able to have as much control as they want to. That's what a lot of this goes into, and a lot of these pieces of policy. I'm not, like super fluent in crypto the way you are. But I am very astute when it comes to digital rights. And those two issues intersect because often when you see the crackdowns or the attempted crackdowns on crypto, there are some serious privacy concerns that go along with it. And one of those pieces of legislation Liz Warren was a part of, and you and I talked about it at the time because I wanted to make sure it was on your radar. And I said, you really got to amplify this in the crypto space because this is dangerous to the crypto community, and it's also, dangerous to the digital rights community, which should be everybody who's on the internet, So I see those connections, and I also see. I remember the thing that really annoyed me the most, as far as the crypto negging, was when Bill Maher did a segment on crypto, and his big grievance was basically he didn't understand it. And I remember just watching that. I'm like, so you just don't get how it works, so it just sucks for everyone then because you don't get it.
It's one of those beautiful Maher moments that, thank God, this is when I do love the internet, is because and he's so snide, and rather than go, gee, I just don't know a lot about this, so I want to learn more. It's like there's a thing from like 15 years ago where he's like, these new smartphones, are they really smart? And it's just like, wow, you sound like a dumb. Oh God. Nice. He's the guy that literally, 20 years from now, he's going to be like the guy that was like the Wright brothers and their little flying bird thing. Really? Well, that, these four guys from Liverpool, I mean, it sounds like cats dying. Like he's just going to be wrong, like colossally wrong.
That guy has been around all through history, and they've always been annoying. That guy's always been the wheel. Come on. My feet don't look like a wheel.
Yeah. And a lot of them, they're not just some guy in a bar stool. They had big influences at the time. I mean, they're these huge. I mean, watch the movie Imagine, right? Where they're doing, and John Lennon has some huge journalist critic guy come in, and he's all like, you hippies, and he's this real notable guy. Do you remember his name?
No.
Of course not. No one does. You remember John Lennon's name. That's why. Like, I always say this all the time. Like, that's my favorite thing is to do that or go, tell me the name of the biggest jazz critic when Miles Davis and those guys were creating bebop, and people go, no. I go, neither do I. No one does. Who cares? Yeah. Like 20 years from now, Bill Maher is going to be some like, oh, wasn't he that old dude that was always wrong about everything? Or just like, he's just like, no one's going to remember him.
Isn't he the guy that didn't want to pay his writers?
Yeah, like that's the guy who didn't want to pay his writers during the strike. Oh, that guy. Yeah. Wow. I mean, I could go on and on. There's a great thing when people there's a website, I think it's called 99 Bitcoin Deaths. And it just plays articles throughout Bitcoin's history since its inception in 2009, when it's like, Bitcoin, went to $1 and then collapsed to 30 cents, and Bitcoin goes to $100 and then collapsed to $50. And it just shows how every time there's a big price pullback, everyone's like, this is it for Bitcoin. It's a scam. And it's like, there's an article that was circulating that'll come out every once in a while in the New York Times, an op-ed piece in the New York Times in the year 2000. So not 1950, in the year 2000, saying the internet's a fad and probably isn't going to last.
I was thinking of that one. I was like, well, remember all those like internet's a fad thing that was never gonna, I mean, they thought when like the Palm Pre's came out, which led to eventually the iPhone, people thought that was going to be a fad. No one's going to want that. Who's going to buy that? And you see what happened, obviously. So yeah, I mean, it's like I see those trends. You and I, because of a situation that we were just in the right place at the right time for, we have seen firsthand, one of the, I would say, among the most positive uses, for this type of technology. Like we have seen what it can do in the creative space. It has a lot of positive uses to compensate creatives and to help us, make what we do a sustainable venture. And when you look at what Spotify is doing, for instance, I mean, this would be, the blockchain is definitely a way to fight back, because then there is an e-trail essentially of this is what this content is actually generating. So it's just clearly a better way to do things. Now, like for every situation like that, or are there some situations where it didn't play out in certain circumstances? I'm sure. But, you and I have seen firsthand, like a positive element of this. Again, that's why, when people say, oh, that there's just no redeeming value in this, I'm just, well, then I guess I've been dreaming for the past like 7 years. Someone should wake me up. I guess I imagined, so it's like, we know, it's like, no, clearly there's some, there's definitely some positive uses, clearly. So yeah, as somebody who, I don't know if you would call me a dabbler or just sort of, fell into the space somewhat. I mean, those are the things that I see. And there are intersections with areas where I am, much more of an enthusiast.
Are you? And yeah, I think that's the main thing I'm really trying to advocate for and help create, is some type of, like you say, where, artists get paid, and somebody downloads our thing, all of our wallets are attached and it's on the blockchain. So if somebody downloads your new comedy album for whatever, $10, you get this, you see the transaction on your phone. You go, oh, I just got $750 and, boom, 750 and this, and my producer got 50 cents, and everyone's wallet is attached. It's all transparent. I mean, that's the thing I said when I was walking the picket line this summer for the SAG and writer's strike, was like, I've said this and I'm going to keep saying this. I was walking the picket line with a bunch of actors and writers and directors who are all huge Bitcoin advocates. They just didn't know it yet. So that's one of the things, like, again, why I'm super bullish on Bitcoin. It's not just the ETF and the big money management with their trillions of dollars in assets coming in. Obviously, that's a very good reason, but I think it's going to transform our industry for the better, so that artists aren't like, as I've said, I've got 2 movies on Amazon that they keep telling me they haven't made any money. And I go, well, how do you know that? Oh, because we told you. Oh, right. Oh, thanks. Like, there's a series that I did, the strip on Cram on the Game Show Network. Game Show Network is owned by Sony. I was literally walked the picket line outside of Sony this summer because they've been rerunning my game show for the last 2 years, almost 3 years now. I haven't gotten a penny. Yeah. It was a union show. It was before SAG and AFTRA merged. Quick history lesson: SAG was the film union, AFTRA was the TV union. Now they've merged into SAG-AFTRA. So I can excuse a little bit of like, oh, so maybe some paperwork was lost before the unions, but I'm not getting a penny. They're rerunning the show. Someone's getting paid. They're making ad dollars off of that. They're licensing that show to these various platforms like Pluto TV and places like that. I'm not getting a penny. I'm the host of the show. I'm in 90% of the shots. The writers aren't getting a nickel. They wrote all this stuff. I improvised a lot. So one of the reasons I was hired was my comedic improbability skills.
All right, Graham, don't downplay your writers. I'm just kidding. I know you weren't. I'm just messing with you.
No, the writers need to get paid as well, is my point. Everyone needs to get paid. And so the moment we can create a platform where blockchain and Bitcoin is attached to this and everyone's wallets are attached, there's nothing to hide anymore. So that's why I'm excited about this. Any last parting thoughts on, I mean, Ron, I know you, like you say, you don't follow it as much as I am and others are, but as someone that's sort of a passive Bitcoiner, how do you feel about this year of 2024?
Well, to sort of tie it into like based on what you just said, to kind of make it just sort of an overarching thematic thing that I think anyone could grasp, even if this is your first day hearing about Bitcoin existing. I doubt that's the case for anyone watching this, but you know, you get the idea. You can't apply an old model to new technology.
Right.
And that's, I mean, you know, obviously we are both in show business and that's a very prime example. So we've been using it a lot, but you can apply it to almost any industry. You can't apply an old model to new technology, and the technology is here and it's not going anywhere, you know? So, you know, using our space as an example, again, we are living in an age of content. That's just where we're at. We're not going to go back. People aren't going to start buying DVDs again or anything like that. Like we are living in an age of digital content. That's just the way it is. So you can't really apply the old models to that unless you're cool with screwing people over. And guess what? The powers that be are really cool with screwing the artists over. They're fine with that. So, you know, we need a type of technology that's going to be held to account and is going to meet the moment. And that's the potential that something like the blockchain provides.
Mm-hmm.
Could it be mishandled? Certainly. Could it be an amazing step into the future? Abso-freaking-lutely. And I'd like to, you know, play my role and hoping it's the latter and trying to make it the latter.
Awesome. Well, Ron, where can people follow you online?
You can follow me online. I'm at Ron Placone on all social media. RonPlacone.com is my website. My movie is screening around. If you want to see my movie, which I'd love it if you did, it's going to be in Tucson this week, February 22nd. It'll be in Omaha, February 29th. March 18th, it'll be in DC. March 22nd, I'll be in Pittsburgh doing a show, screening the movie, doing a Q&A. April 14th, Graham, you're going to be on a show with me. We're going to screen the movie, which, by the way, Graham's in the movie. He's hilarious. He does an amazing job. And then we'll be doing a Q&A after. That's April 14th in Los Angeles. And then June 8th in Idlewild, California, we're going to do a show screening and Q&A up in the mountains. So, yeah, ronplacone.com for all info.
Yeah, watch it. I play a right-wing YouTuber. You're going to love it.
It's great. Yeah, your role was great. You got a ton of laughs at the premiere, and yeah, it's a really fun movie. It's loosely based on the GameStop incident that happened in 2021, but it's a fictional story and it's a comedy. And yeah, I think a lot of Bitcoin people would, you know, given that theme, would like the movie. So please check it out.
It's very subversive and disruptive and in a good sense. So I think Bitcoiners will love it. Ron, thank you so much, man, for taking time to come join us on the show. And hopefully we'll have you back on soon. And maybe someday you come down to El Salvador.
Thanks, Graham. I look forward to that.
All right, dude.
Seeing you, buddy. Peace.